All right, what's happening? Let's do the July 2018 Q&A. I'm blending this month's Q&A with the Underground Strength Academy because the Underground Strength Academy forum is ghost town. It's poopy. And I'll tell you what's interesting. Make sure this YouTube video is loading. When I was first starting to get into the business of strength and conditioning, trying to open up my business, I was members of a lot of forums and I was so hungry for knowledge. I asked so many questions. I was part of every group that I had to pay my way into for business and training. So I will honestly say sometimes it's shocking how the questions don't get asked. I mean, if you're not hungry for knowledge, that is a concern. That's a red flag for me. Or you might be saying, well, Zach, I could get all the information I need off of YouTube or off of Instagram. Listen, the worst kind of information is free information that is not reliable or reputable and it's inaccurate. So let's get to these questions and hammer these out. I'm going to start over here. And Keith Coombs says, what is a good free paid app to do podcasts with? I know that SoundCloud gives you up to a certain amount of audio storage before it starts getting paid for. Then if you start going beyond that, it'll ask you to delete the older stuff. I use Libsyn, Libsyn.com, and then it's able to go to iTunes. It also goes to Stitcher Radio. I haven't figured out how to do Google Play and all these other things. Now I think it's called Apple instead of like iTunes. It's called something like Apple Music. I don't even know. But I think eventually you're going to run out of quality resources if we're just looking for free. You could certainly go with YouTube. The only issue with YouTube is it's just hard to get into the YouTube game. And what I'm going to look to do with my own podcast, with the Strong Life podcast, is bring on board one or two solid sponsors who are really helping me financially each month, so I could do the professional type things, like have an awesome intro, have the music, have, all the stuff that people like. Unfortunately, I honestly feel that's like a trick. It's like a fad or a gimmick to try to get people in the door. But the bottom line is we need to pay to build stuff. That's what it's going to take. Next question, Bob Hildebransky says, Zach, great podcast with Coach Ken. Definitely top 5 in my book. And judging by a couple of your videos this week, you seem to be already making some adjustments based on your conversations with Coach Joe. Talk about training for those of us in your crew who are in our 40s and in my case 50s. Do you see yourself permanently making adjustments like Coach Ken has in his training regime? That's a great question. So what Joe Ken, Big House, was talking about was, he's like, I've learned, and Joe is extremely regimented. I mean, you could even see not just regimented in his training and his lifestyle, but when he posts his own workouts on Instagram and he outlines them, you could see that he's got like this block and this phase where I have always been more of like a train by my heart, soul lifter, very much like training is my art form. But when he made a comment about his ability to only deadlift heavy once every 3 weeks, I started thinking to myself, that's probably the route I need to start going, because I tend to work up to a lot of 5s, a lot of 3s, some solid singles. Not that they're killing me, but it's just too much frequency for me. Got to remember, I've been lifting weights since '89. So you might be in your 40s or 50s. I'm 42 and a half. But if you don't have 30 years of training and putting a bar on your back, you're going to get affected differently than somebody like myself or Joe, who's been training longer than that. He's, I think, 52, maybe he's 51. So everybody's going to respond differently. So I'm going to tell you what I'm doing now. I had a great conversation with Brian Carroll. His book is floating around somewhere. It's called The Gift of Injury. And basically I told him, sometimes my back just feels tender. It feels beat up and banged up. So I gave him some of the symptoms and he goes, it's likely a disc issue. And he goes, so what I'm going to recommend is, he told me, just take a full week off from training. I told him I don't even deadlift or squat that heavy. My heavy squats are in the mid threes. That's nothing. When I was in my early 20s, I often say, boy, I wish YouTube was out back then. I remember when I don't even think I was 21. Oh man, we went to that gym. I was nine. Was I even 19? I didn't even turn 19. I was 18. And I remember squatting 225 for 50 reps. I think I got to like 45 or 46 reps. And my partner gave me 4 forced reps. Not that he was like saving me, just kept his hands on my chest. When I was 22, I squatted 315 for 22 reps. Deep squats, no spotter. So now 315 for me is like a set of 5. I used to leg press. I'd stack the plates on the side, stack plates on the top, and then I'd get somebody to sit on the leg press. I was strong. I used to be strong, damn it. So let me just say this, guys. You see me inside Gladiator Strong changing up the programming. Some of the changes I've made have been every couple weeks, I do 1 to 2 weeks where I minimize the barbell, or I minimize that deadlift and cleaning and snatching stuff. And you're doing kettlebells and calisthenics and some bodybuilding work. That's why I was holding up this book, the Gold's Gym Book of Bodybuilding. This is an old book, but sometimes the stuff in here is just, it's great. Like looking at this one workout, here's like a level 5, hanging leg raise, Roman chair sit up, incline dumbbell press, 4 sets of 6 to 10, dips, 3 sets, flies, 3 sets. I would do a lot more supersets instead of all these straight sets, but sometimes it is good to get to that kind of training. Look at this photo. Decline tricep extensions. I remember that exercise. That was certainly a favorite of mine. And I thought this was a nice note, the person who sent it. Thank you so much for buying this book for me. Please let me know if you are unhappy with it for any reason. And she leaves her phone number. Pretty darn cool. I bought this book for $8. Get on that Amazon used book tour. So I'm going to say, for those of us in our 40s or 50s, or anybody who's feeling banged up, take a full week off and just do walking every day. Then after that week off, get back to doing calisthenics, focus on a lot of trunk stability, the McGill Big 3, and do some light kettlebells, light sandbags, sled work. Give the barbells a break. Right now, I don't plan on loading my spine with a barbell or deadlift until the fall. So in September, Matt Wenning's coming to the gym, and I'll post the link up to that seminar. Him and I are doing a performance seminar together, strength and sports performance, and I've got his belt squat coming in. So I'm going to be moving towards that route of a lot more belt squats and minimizing the spinal loading. So I think as we get into our 40s and 50s, don't try to push the heavy spinal loading more than once or twice a month, every other week, once every 3 weeks. I think what Joe said, he's onto something, but it takes discipline to do that. Nelson had a question. I love Nelson. Super nice guy. How do you organize your training these days? This is going to be a good question because we're going to be able to keep it flowing. Do you have a set plan or an idea of what you're going to do for the week in advance or the several weeks in advance? Or are you more instinctive and auto-regulate how you feel on that day? I know you talk a lot about how you need to adjust training as you get into your 40s, but this is a great question. So what would you say is the major difference in how you train in your 20s and 30s compared to currently? What would you wish you have done less of when you were younger? So, I definitely was doing a lot more instinctual training, all how I feel. But here's the problem with that. Monday, I was always squatting. That was pretty much a given. I'm going to squat. That's how the week is going to start. Put a bar on my back. Then it's all by feel. It's like, okay, I got my squats in. That next day, I was going to do upper body, give that lower body a rest. But then I would sneak in some carries. Then I'm trap bar deadlifting on Wednesday. Then I'm doing more carries on Thursday. Then Friday, I'm doing carries and calisthenics. So my back was just getting no rest. Bang, bang, bang. Now go back to my days of bodybuilding in my teenage years and early 20s. When I made the most gains in bodybuilding, and that's when I created that book, The Gladiator Project. I went on a 3-day per week program. Let me back up before that, because that's when I started training out of the house. I stopped training with my training partners. They were showing up late a lot. It was just killing my schedule. And I felt like when I would train with them, usually like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, on Tuesday, I had like 3% less energy than Monday, but I could push through it. But it had me thinking. Then I needed that Wednesday off. Thursday, hard work. Friday, a little less energy than Thursday. So I said, you know what? I was so inspired by Mike Menser, by Dorian Yates, by those high intensity guys, Lee Labrada even. Lee Labrada would usually do like 2 hard sets per exercise. I said, I'm going to train every other day, but after a leg day, I'm going to take 2 days off. And dude, I got so strong and I got jacked. And if you ever saw that picture of me near the lake where my abs were all thick, I weighed like 205. I was on a 4-way bodybuilding split. I would do chest and buys, day off. Legs, 2 days off. Shoulders, triceps, day off. Back, day off. Now, on shoulders and triceps day, I would add an extra bicep exercise. On chest and bicep day, I would add an extra tricep repetition, like light triceps work. On back day, more biceps. So I was doing arms frequently, but I was just kind of adding it one exercise. My eating was very dialed in. I would have breakfast, 8 egg whites, 1 yolk, bowl of oatmeal, cup of orange juice all the time. After the gym, I would have a protein shake, drive home, it was about 30 minutes away, and then I would have 2 spoons of peanut butter when I got home, and then I would grill a steak, and then I'd have some like a salad or like chopped up vegetables with a little oil and vinegar on it, like cucumbers, tomatoes, stuff like that. And then the rest of my day was like chicken and rice, steak, potato, basic eating, and maybe another protein shake. Super disciplined in my younger years. I got less disciplined in my nutrition as cookies entered my house as I had kids. And sometimes I get back to that. You see on my YouTube videos, I'm doing some bodybuilding work, but train a day, take a day off. Train a day, take a day off. Squat or deadlift, take 2 days off. Now, I don't have those bodybuilding books anymore, but I was reading a lot of Dorian Yates' work. I had his book, Blood and Guts. So go ahead and dig up some of that old stuff, some of the old Arthur Jones stuff. And that's why with Gladiator Strong, guys, and by the way, I still got it. With Gladiator Strong, I only put 3 workouts a week. And as I started learning about guys like Louis Simmons, he's talking about 14 workouts a week. It became a mental thing with me. I wanted to start training more. And that's the problem, is that, you know, I have a friend who does this too. Like he trains and he basically he's on like the crash and burn training program. It's important that we stay on a pretty rigid schedule, you know? And I think that if you feel run down, I think that it's fine to just say, I'm going to take this week off. I know I've seen Christine Rossi doing less barbell work, substituting stuff for kettlebells. She's listening. You know, I tell everybody, listen, if you feel run down, take the day off. If you want to break from the barbell, substitute it for a kettlebell exercise. It will make you feel better. Other things that, you know, get away from you as you get older. I don't take naps. It's very, very rare I take a nap. It's hard to get to bed as early as I want to, but I make a very concerted effort to have lights out at 10:30. Preferably last night I went to bed even earlier than that. I have more responsibility than I did when I trained in my early 20s and lived at home with my parents, and I had a home cooked meal all the time. Okay, there's a difference there. So as you get older, if you have training age, training experience, your body gets a little more beat up and you must be smarter. You can't be as auto-regulatory. And hey, actually, I auto-regulate my effort, but I can't just randomly train whatever I want. And I think that you need to have a plan the older you get. Patrick's question, and sorry for the raspy voice. I did like a gazillion podcasts over the weekend. My question is regard to workout fillers. I know you like adding in band pull parts and core exercise between sets to build work capacity, and I was wondering if there's any other mobility exercises you utilize for yourself and other athletes. So, you know, we sneak in face pulls, all kinds of abs, hanging leg raises, hanging knee raises off the dip bar, pull aparts, side planks, shoulder touch planks. And Joe Ken does that stuff also. I forget what name he calls them, but he says by the end of a workout, they've done 60 sets. They're including all of these extras. He'll put a band around the waist and he'll do abduction, adduction. He'll do a banded windmill. He sneaks in extra stuff. It keeps the athletes focused. I like to do in between workouts a lot of dead hangs, the couch stretch, and sometimes I'll say, hey, go roll out your back. Let's say we did tire flips, or yesterday we deadlifted trap bar, and I had the guys go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They got to 1 and they had more energy, so they did 2 more sets of 1. A lot of times they're about, So what I do is it's almost like I downplay it and I go, guys, do pull aparts, side plank, roll out your back for 2 minutes. It gets them to just calm down that nervous system, chill out a little bit. And the rest of the workout is not, I'm not killing them. They're doing lunges, they're doing carries, they're doing arms. So that first exercise, if it's like a shock to the body, we roll out a little bit. Okay. Here's Christine's question. She says, no question, just a thanks to you and the sessions you post up, and also thanks to the gladiators in this group. I have not been posting, but I'm still here following. And I follow Christine on Instagram. It's really good. I have been substituting different tools depending on how my body is feeling, as well as to improve upon weaknesses. For example, I used a mace on this past Wednesday session and did barbarian squats. And she did the certification with Frank DeMeo. It was way different feel and some great core work. I guess my point would be that there's always a way to get it done. And don't be a slave to the board. That's what I always say. Change the reps and the movement tools accordingly. I'm 50 and still going. I did not know you're 50. See, and she goes, I'm trying to anyway. That's the thing about what strength does is like you just look like 10, 12, 15 years younger. I'm 42. I think I do look like I'm in my 40s. But I see people who are a little younger than me. I think they're like 50. Their body just looks like they went through a train wreck. You must always train. And at $10 a month where we are right now, I mean, it's so doable. And for the members of the Underground Strength Academy, $20 a month. If you're in the Underground Strength Academy, you got to use that search function. There's so much stuff in here that it's just hard to keep posting more and more stuff because people negate the older stuff. So the last question that came in was on the Underground Strength Academy. And I posted this video on Facebook. I'll see if I could save the video. Let me actually see if I could. I don't know if I saved it from my YouTube. I don't know if I saved it on Facebook. I don't know if I put it on YouTube. It's on shoulder health. And I meant to post the video inside the Underground Strength Coach group. Let's see. In Facebook. And it was all about shoulder health. I don't think I posted it, so I will have to save it. But some of the stuff that made my shoulders feel great. Lots of face pulls. Big pull aparts. Recline rowing. Very light side raises. Chest supported rear delts, a lot of them. Chest supported Cuban incline presses with 5-pound plates. Very light side raises. Chest supported rear delts, a lot of them. Chest supported Cuban incline presses with 5 in my hands, maybe 10-pound dumbbells. What else did I do that was making it feel good? I was doing bamboo bar bench presses, slow motion, high repetitions. I was doing push-ups, but it didn't feel good with my hands on the floor. Felt better with my hands on dumbbells and reverse grip, 45-degree internal rotation grip. That stuff felt great. If I do bench press, I use a slingshot. Dumbbell floor presses feel great, but a lot of rear delt work, guys. Lots of rear delt work is making the shoulders feel healthy. Okay, guys, so that's it for July 2018. Ask more questions. Attack for more information. If you want a link to the performance seminar that Matt Wenning and I are going to do at the Manasquan Underground Strength Gym, let me know. The date for that is Oh, it's in September. It's September 8th. That's a Saturday, right after Labor Day weekend. Hope to see you guys there. Much respect. Undergroundstrengthcert.com is the certification. And stay tuned for a gathering. It's going to be free. If you're a member of Underground Strength Academy or Gladiator Strong, I'm going to do a seminar at my gym in Manasquan, training, Q&A, almost like a live podcast and like an old school, training gathering. So that will be, it might be in November. The fall is going to be tricky. Talk to you guys later. Much love.